everybody, it's Tyler again with The Truth About Cars. John's behind the camera, as per usual.
As per usual.
As per usual. Today we just wanted to put a little bit of supporting material up on the website to help out with episode 2, which is in regards to oil changes. Cars all have a dipstick. Where it is located exactly on the engine varies manufacturer to manufacturer, but by and large it's either going to be on the back if it's 4-cylinder or in the middle. Basically all you got to do is you go ahead and grab the ring on the top of the dipstick and you just pull that sucker right out. Not a huge deal. You want to go ahead and wipe off all the residual oil that's on the dipstick. One of the other things is you want to make sure that the car is nice and level so that you can get an accurate reading. If you're on a hill, it's not going to give you an accurate reading. So you're going to wipe off the dipstick, make sure there's no oil on it. Now that it's nice and clean, I just want to kind of show you guys real quick. If you can see all of these crisscross patterns right in here, this is referred to as the safe zone. Basically, this safe zone right here is where you want the oil to be between. Now, a lot of people think that this is the entire amount of oil that's in the vehicle, but from the tip of the dipstick all the way to this lower point, if your car holds 4 quarts, that's gonna be 3 quarts. And then this final level from here to here is the final 1 quart that's in the engine. So basically you want your final 1 quart to be between the low mark and the high mark. I personally prefer it to be closer to the low mark because the closer you are to the high mark, the more problems it can cause with your engine. Overfull on oil is something that's not ideal. And ironically, an engine that's overfull on oil can actually have more problems and negative consequences than the car that's underfilled on oil. Put it right back in the dipstick tube until it bottoms out. I give it a wiggle to make sure it bottomed out and the gasket's not stuck. Then you pull it right back up, and it's easiest to see in front of a white background. This car's actually overfull on oil. It's right here is where the oil level is sitting on this particular dipstick. So in a perfect world, it should be right there. It's not the end of the world. Since I have access to it, I'm probably gonna stop at one of the shops that the company that I work for owns and have them drain just a couple of seconds out because rather safe than sorry. That's a basic overview of how to read a dipstick on a run-of-the-mill car. All right, for those of you who watched our video about cutting a tire in half, we also thought it would be interesting if we went ahead and took a spin-on style oil filter and cut it in half so you could see what was inside. These are called spin-ons because basically, as you can see right here, there's some threads and they spin onto a piece sticking out of the engine, and then they sit nice and flush up against the engine block, which is what this gasket does, is keeps the oil inside the filter and inside the engine block. But we just wanted to cut one open so that you could see inside of it, because I did mention it a little bit on episode 2 of The Truth About Cars, and I figure it'll make a lot more sense if you are able to see what I can imagine because I've already seen inside one. So let's cut it apart, man. All right, everybody, now that we've got that filter cut in half, we decided we'd come up here, put it on a table, and make it a little bit easier for you to see. And not that interesting, right? There's not a lot of components inside. There's the gasket that goes between the canister itself and the vehicle. There's the anti-drain back valve, which keeps oil from draining from the engine into the oil pan so that when you go and start up the car, it's got oil in all the nooks and crannies like it's supposed to be. Then we've got the outside skin, right? This is the part that holds everything together, essentially. That's where the threads are that go onto your vehicle. Then we've got some more stamped steel and a filter media. This is the part that actually does the filtration, so the oil flows through these crevices on the outside and then comes out of these tiny holes on the inside nice and clean, and then back into the engine. And this top piece here serves 2 purposes. It keeps the appropriate distance between the top of this filter and the inside of the skin, but it also is made out of spring steel because that is the bypass valve, right? So we talked a little bit about that on the show. If the filter gets clogged up, the bypass valve opens because the pressure in the system is too high, and it keeps oil circulating everywhere it's supposed to go. The only problem is it's dirty oil because the filter's clogged, so that's why you got to get your oil changes done when you're supposed to get them done. But that's the cross section of the filter, and now you know.